Ranking the best V8 engines ever. These V8s have been the beating heart of some of history's most iconic sports cars, and in this list, we see how they stack up against each other. V8 engines are central to some of the most iconic sports cars of all time. Indeed, an engine can make or break a car's success, just like the handling can, and this can mean a lot of bad PR for brands. However, when looking at engines, the V8 engine sticks out as a particularly important example. The V8 engines on this list are renowned for their build quality, reliability, power output, and historic significance. They have been some of the best engines on the market at the time of their launch and have captured the hearts of gearheads everywhere. We have also ranked them so they can be easily set apart from one another so that enthusiasts can see how the best of the best V8 engines compare. Chrysler 426 Hemi. The Hemi engine is incredibly iconic. First used in 1964, the second-generation Chrysler 426 Hemi V8 engine is the one that most enthusiasts look towards if they adore muscle cars. It has been nicknamed as being the elephant engine for its high power, heavy weight, and high levels of torque. Indeed, the displacement of the 426 Hemi V8 was 7.0 liters and produced 425 horsepower. The Chrysler 426 Hemi has also been used in a variety of iconic cars under the Chrysler Corporation. For example, the Hemi was used in the 1966 Dodge Charger and the 1970 Plymouth Barracuda Hemi. In terms of history, the 426 Hemi is one of the most important cars in North American car culture, and it is no surprise either with its influences in later Chrysler engines. 9. Ford Boss 302. Used in the Mustang, the Ford Boss 302 engine has been an outstanding high-performance V8 for a long time. The 4.9-liter V8 was originally used in the 1968 Trans Am season but went on to be used in Ford cars, and there was even a new Boss engine released in 2007, showing how important the engine is to the Ford brand itself. The original 1969 engine produces 290 horsepower and it came with forged pistons and thicker cylinder walls, all boosting performance. The Mustang has long been an icon within North American car culture, and so have the engine choices that power them. The Ford Boss 302 is no different. It is tunable too, with owners being able to boost the power quite well in one. The engine was able to compete with other small block engines like the Chevy 302 and the Chrysler 340, reflecting its high-performance credibility. The Ford Boss 302 definitely makes it onto this list as it is so cool and it was a fantastic high-performance engine. 8. Mercedes-AMG Hot V. As many already know how good the Mercedes-AMG brand is, it certainly needs no introduction. The 4.0-liter Hot V V8 engine is a reflection of how fantastic the brand is at making high-performance engines too, and it definitely doesn't let anyone down. The engine is turbocharged, with the turbochargers being featured between the cylinder banks, which helps the cooling of the engine. The engine is incredibly responsive too, while also sounding fantastic. Indeed, it is the full package when it comes to the AMG engine here, and it is used in the GTR and the GTR Pro, which shows just how brilliant the engine is when it is put to the task. As such, the Hot V engine is one fantastic engine that is very easy to love. 7. BMW 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8. Also known as the BMW N63 engine, the 4.4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 engine is very impressive, showing off how fantastic BMW is at producing refined engines that come with a lot of power. The powertrain has undergone a lot of updates since its introduction in 2008, with there being a lot of improvements to power and updates to the rev count. The S63B44T4 update to the engine brings 591 horsepower and a maximum reverend count of 6,700 revolutions per minute. Featuring in cars like the F90 M5 and the F96 X6M competition, the engine is suited to high-performance driving and in luxurious vehicles. Indeed, the 4.4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 engine is outstanding and it shows off the refined building qualities of BMW, and with the brand continuing to make improvements to the engine, we only hope it gets even better. 6. Rover V8. The Rover V8 engine was fantastic, and it was a part of the Rover lineup from the 1960s until the mid-2000s. Indeed, this was a very long life for an engine, and it featured in many Rover vehicles such as the Land Rover and the Morgan vehicles too. The biggest choice was the 5.0-liter V8 that was used in the TVR Griffith and the TVR Chimera, with the engine producing a maximum of 340 horsepower in the cars. There were also 5.5-liter models available, showing how big the displacement got to be here. The history of the Rover V8 began with the Buick 215, an all-aluminum powertrain that was fitted to cars like the Oldsmobile Jetfire. As such, the Rover V8 is one fantastic engine that is still historically impactful today and was a central part of the British car industry for decades. Ferrari F106 Volts 8. The Ferrari F106 V8 was first used in the Ferrari Dino 308 GT4. It has become quite the iconic engine since its first appearance. The engine featured a displacement of 2.9 liters and came with 250 horsepower, which was more than enough for the Dino 308 GT4. The engine setup used a flat plane crank and dual overhead camshafts, and this was used for the mid-engined Ferrari V8 cars until the Ferrari 360. As such, it is historically important in terms of the success of later Ferrari models. Later revisions to the engine brought turbochargers and substantially boosted power. As such, the F106 V8 is one of the best V8 engines because of its evolution and status in Ferrari vehicles throughout the times, and featured in the iconic 308, 328, 355, and 360. 4. LS1. The LS1 is one of the most iconic engines to be used in North American production cars, especially when it is featured in the Chevrolet Corvette. There have been many upgrades to the LS engine, with there being an LS9 engine now. When the engine was introduced in the Corvette in 1997, the engine's output was 345 horsepower and was boosted to 350 horsepower in 2001. Indeed, it was very impressive, and it provided much power to not only the Corvette but also the Pontiac Firebird Formula, the Chevrolet Camaro, and the Pontiac GTO. These names are very big in the car world, and the engine is partially what has made them so iconic. The LS1 is one of the greatest V8 engines because of its evolution and the fact that it has gone on to allow the LS engines to work so well. The LS1 was definitely the grounding of the small block engine by General Motors. As such, it is definitely one of the greatest V8 engines ever for enthusiasts. 3. Ford Flathead V8. As one of the 10 best engines of the 20th century, it is difficult to have a list of V8 engines without including the Ford Flathead V8. It was often used in hot rod vehicles from the 1950s, with the engine starting production in the 1930s. The Flathead V8 was the first independent V8 engine produced by Ford for mass production, and it reflects the design and technological evolution of Ford, so it is very historically significant. The engine is modified by hot rodders now, and it has been able to produce 700 horsepower, so the engine is very much capable of being incredibly powerful. As such, the Flathead V8 is very iconic, and it is historically one of the most important V8 engines to ever be made. For this reason, it nearly makes the top of the list. 2. Ferrari 3.9-liter F154 twin-turbo V8. The Ferrari 3.9-liter F154 twin-turbocharged V8 engine has been in production since 2013. It replaces the Ferrari Maserati F136 V8 for both the Maserati and Ferrari brands. The F154 family is the first turbocharged Ferrari road engine since the 2.9-liter F120A V8 was used in the iconic Ferrari F40. The 3.9-liter twin-turbocharged V8 brings a high amount of performance and power to Ferrari cars. Producing 780 horsepower at its peak is outstanding, and the engine is used in cars like the Ferrari F8 Tributo and Ferrari F8 Spider. Those cars are incredible in terms of sporting abilities, and the Ferrari engine is really what pushes them into their speed superiority. As such, the engine makes it into second place here because of its impact on some of the best cars on the road today, and because we expect it to go on to be one of the best engines of our time. 1. 6.2-liter Hemi SRT Hellcat Supercharged V8. The supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi SRT V8 engine is beyond outstanding, and it outshines all of the other engines on this list. The 2015 Dodge Challenger SRT comes with this fantastic engine, and its performance is out of this world. The Hemi engine produces 717 horsepower, which isn't exactly easy, but the engine makes out that it is. Going on to produce the 2021 6.2-liter Hemi high-output Hellcat Red-Eye V8 engine that makes 797 horsepower. Dodge is leading the world in their engine creations, and the 6.2-liter Hemi SRT allowed to pave the way for this. In cars that are all about speed and performance, the engine is the correct choice, and it does it fantastically. As such, the Hemi tops the list, just as we expected it to.